Everyone. Good morning. We'll get started. I'll call this meeting to order at 9:03 a.m. I'll go ahead and start with the land acknowledgement. Associated Students recognizes and acknowledges the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory of Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians that is now occupied by our campus of California State University Northridge, honors their elders past and present, and the descendants who are citizens of the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians. Associated Students recognizes that the tribe is still here, and we are committed to lifting up their stories, culture, and community. I'll now hand this over to Attorney General Martinez for the roll call.
Vice President Khan. Here. Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilo. Senator Flores. Here. Sorry. Senator Flores. Here. Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Heminiana Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris. Here. Senator Covina. Here. Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Nunez. Here. Senator
Here.
Olgun.
Here.
Senator Perez.
Here.
Senator Palim. Senator Wada.
Here.
Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Tron. We have quorum. Senator Toledo Carranza.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda for January 27th, 2025. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to approve today's agenda for the meeting on January 7th, 2025.
Using that mic. I don't think it has a little thing, so just step back. Yeah. Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Flores. Any discussion on the approval of today's agenda? I will actually recommend an amendment. Actually, not for this agenda, for the next agenda. Disregard what I said. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, we will take this to a vote. All in favor of approving the agenda for January 27, 2025, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to the approval of the minutes from December 9th, 2024. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to approve the minutes from our meeting on December 9th, 2024.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Perez. Any discussion on the approval of the minutes from December 9th? Seeing no discussion, if there are no objections to the approval of the minutes, there will pass unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, the December 9th, 2024 minutes pass unanimously. We'll now move on to special presentation from Maria Elizondo. Nice. Okay, cool. Wow. From the Basic Needs Office. And then you're also joined by your colleague. So great. Go for it. We'll have the presentation pulled up right now. And then make sure to click the button on the mic.
Good morning. Can you all hear me okay? Yes, my name is Maria Elizondo. I am the Director of Basic Needs. Basic Needs is the office that supports students with housing and food security. We have about 10 plus programs that we'll be talking to you about. We're here to give you an overview of our programs. We'll go into some detail, but if you have questions, please feel free to ask us at the end. And I am joined by my colleague, Crystal Bowen, and I'll let her introduce herself. But she is the Food Programs Care Coordinator, and she manages all of our food programs. And we're going to start with those. So I'm going to step aside and let her take the mic for the next few minutes to talk to you about our food programs. The green one. Up next.
Hi all, thank you so much for having me this morning. My name is Crystal Bowen. I am the Food Programs Care Coordinator with the Basic Needs Office. As Maria had said, I do oversee all of our food programs, which we will go into the overview with. But as a former alumni too, and starting with our food pantry back when I was a student assistant, these programs are really near and dear to my heart. So right here, this is a picture from our food pantry, which our food pantry is a free resource to students. You're able to stop by once a week and get a bag of shelf-stable goods, so canned goods, boxed goods, that sort of thing. With the access to the pantry, all we ask for is to see your CSUN ID, whether that's physical or digital. We also take the My CSUN profile. Now, in your bag, you might see things like breakfast cereals, pasta, pasta sauce, canned vegetables, canned beans. We do our best to accommodate most types of dietary preferences, including vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, lactose, kosher, those sort of things. Additionally, we are able to do toiletries, and a lot of the toiletries are actually thanks to your generous donation on a yearly basis. We put that money towards making sure we're able to restock our toiletries. So we're able to offer things like toilet paper, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, toothbrushes, razors, those types of things. And we do one large bag of those each month to anybody who comes by and wants to pick those up. We do also offer menstrual products, pads, tampons, liners, tampons on a weekly basis where people can stop by and pick those up. Now, every other Wednesday during the semester, we have something called a pop-up pantry. And this is really our produce pop-up. So right outside the food pantry, which is located in Laurel Hall to the north side of campus, you can stop by and we set up like a farmer's market style setup of fresh produce. So we have all types of different things and we are able to pick that produce up from our community partner Mend, meeting each need with dignity and equipment. Right here is our hours of operation. So Mondays and Tuesdays, we're open from 9 to 1, Wednesdays from 1 to 7. So that way we can make sure we have one late day for our graduate students to stop by before or after class, and Thursdays from 1 to 5. We do also do our CalFresh programming. So we do have two types of CalFresh programming. We have CalFresh Outreach, which is where we do the food assistance. So we assist students in determining their potential eligibility, as well as applying for the federally funded program, CalFresh Food. With CalFresh Food benefits, students are eligible up to $292 a month for a single person household. So my team works to see if, one, the student is potentially eligible, 2, walk them through the application, and then 3, if they need additional support after they submit the application, whether that's right away, figuring out documents, or 6 months, a year later, when it comes to their recertification, we're able to support them throughout that whole entire process. We do also have a CalFresh Healthy Living programming, which is our nutrition education. So where we have our food access programs like the pantry, the pop-up pantry, and even CalFresh Food. Our CalFresh Healthy Living program really ties it together by being able to provide nutrition education workshops. So we do things like how to shop on a budget, how to build a healthy plate, those types of workshops, really to be able to kind of help connect the dots, so to speak. And then our newest initiative, our newest program is a collaboration with the Institute for Sustainability, and it's called Matabites. It's a food alert system. You're able to opt in really easily through the CSUN app. You go in there through messages, opt-in channels. We're literally the only one. So if you haven't signed up, please do. And the idea is we work with different campus food partners that have events, and when they have surplus events, surplus food from their events, we're able to, if they're already trained as a campus food partner, send out these alerts to anybody who's in the area and wants to pick up food, so that way they can swing by, pick up the food, feeding people, right, and preventing food waste. Both are really amazing aspects of this. And then in case you don't know where we are, because we are in a small little building all the way up to the north side of campus, this is where Laurel Hall is on the map. We're behind Jacaranda Hall, right in between Sagebrush and Lilac Hall. The closest student parking lot, I believe, is D6 or E6. I always get them mixed up, but we're right over there. Before I turn it over to Maria for the housing programs, any questions on the food programs?
The one thing that I would like for you all to remember is that this food pantry serves two purposes, is both an entity and a program. So oftentimes we refer to the pantry as the program, but it's also the entity with where all of these programs are housed, and they are supported by about 22 student assistants. So all of these programs are primarily run by students. We have Crystal, who's our food programs coordinator, but she is managing about 22 students who are the ones providing the service. So that's really something I wanted to highlight. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our other side of the house, which is the housing stability programs. This is fairly, I want to say new, but not so new. time flies. 2021 was when the Office of Basic Needs was centralized. Prior to that, all of these programs were in existence, but they were in existence in different parts of campus. So in 2021, Dr. Relis Bischoff, under her leadership, this office was centralized, and that's how we all came on board to be under one office. Prior to that, Crystal and I were in the Matador Involvement Center, and the housing was running out of Residential Life, but now we're running out of one office, which makes it a lot easier and more convenience for our students to be able to access services, all of the services at once. So our housing stability programs. The first thing I want to share with you all is that all of our housing stability programs, the best way to come into contact with one of our staff members is to submit an application. Whatever program you're looking to, or the student is looking to access, the best way to go about it is the application. The application can be found on our website, www.csun.edu/HEART, Housing Stability Resources. And the reason for that is because the application has been really designed to give us more information about, to gather more information about the situation of the student. This really helps our housing stability care coordinators to prepare a lot more actively for the intake process. So when we go into the intake process, we have a little bit of an understanding what the situation is. It can help us to really prepare with the resources that might be appropriate for the situation, but it also helps us to not re-traumatize the student, right? Because sharing such information can be a traumatic event. So what we're really hoping to gain from the application is a bit of information so that we can be prepared and that we can assist the student better. The application, again, is found on our website that comes directly to me, and then I will then go ahead and distribute it to one of the housing stability care coordinators. We have two. We have two that are solely responsible for supporting students with housing stability programs. The qualifications are very simple. The thing that we ask is that the student is enrolled in the current term. So what that means is a student can be a matriculated student to the university, but we ask that the student is enrolled in the current term at least half time. For an undergraduate student, that's 6 units. For a graduate student, that's 3 units. We, of course, I want to share that we do look at it case by case. So if there's a reason that a student is maybe enrolled in less than half time, but that has a lot to do with their situation, we will look at the situation and we will advocate on their behalf if we need to. We also, there's a need for the student to be in a situation where the student is lacking a fixed, regular, adequate nighttime residence. So a lot of what we do with the programs is we also educate on what it means to be in this situation. Sometimes we will have students who will think that they are in this situation, but it really is a different situation. Maybe they need a housing navigation support. Maybe they need us to help them find different community resources. So we do go through the application process and ask that the student is in this situation to be able to be provided certain resources. And then we also, student is seeking any form of housing stability support must submit the application. So we'll start with our temporary emergency housing. Temporary emergency housing is housed out of our Residential Life app and CSUN Housing. And this is a situation where we're able to provide a student who is in need of immediate housing, 20 days of emergency housing that is housed in the dorms. And now when I say immediate, I want you to, I want to highlight that nothing is super immediate, right? There's rules and regulations that we have to follow. We have to coordinate with housing. So it does take a couple of days for us to get a student into temporary emergency housing. But we probably, it depends on what's available, but it's usually 1 to 2 days. The student is able to stay up to 20 days. And during this time, the student is working with the housing stability coordinator to develop a longer term solution for their situation. This could be a couple of avenues. They could transition into CSUN Housing. They could transition into their own space. Maybe they're in a situation where they're in between spaces and they just need 10 days to be able to not be homeless, or they need to transition back home, or they're looking for a place to go. And that's where we can also help them in their search. Again, I say 20 days, but I want to keep saying we work with the student. It's on a case-to-case basis. If the student requires a little bit more than 20 days, we will, of course, advocate for that student. And then one of the options that we have available through our partnership with one of our community partners, Jóvenes, is what we call the College Focused Rapid Rehousing Program. So College Focused Rapid Rehousing Program can be seen in a couple of ways. It could be a longer term solution for a student who is in need of housing, but it's also a temporary solution in the form of bridge housing. So we have master lease apartments very close to campus. We don't necessarily disclose where they are because these are considered a safe haven for students. And so we want to protect that confidentiality, but they are very close to campus. And we have master lease apartments where students are able to stay in our bridge apartments anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Again, during this 3 to 6 months, the student is working with a case manager, not our housing stability case manager, but rather a case manager provided by Jóvenes. And this case manager meets with the student weekly or what is appropriate for the student situation to develop a long-term solution for the student to transition out of bridge housing. While they're in bridge housing, they're not expected to pay any form of rent. It's free of cost for the student, but they are expected to follow what we call the housing stability plan, which can include things like develop a savings plan, increase your employment, gain employment, focus on your grades if we're having some struggles academically. So these are developed in conjunction with the student, but the case manager is following up on a weekly basis to ensure that the student's on track. And we are here to support that case manager with any resources that are campus-based. So that could be things, for example, access to our counseling center if the student's in need of that, or access to our advisors, or access to the undergraduate studies department, access to you all, for example. So that's what we do in conjunction with the case manager from Jóvenes. So that's our bridge program. On that same program, we also have what we call rapid rehousing. Rapid rehousing is a longer term solution into something that we hope that our students transition to. So in this program, what the student does is they transition to their own apartment under their name. So the lease is under their name. They are the ones doing the search and it's within their budget. That's one of the things that we make sure that we do, that the student finds either a bedroom, an apartment, a shared space where they are able to maintain that longer term rent. We are still providing subsidies, and those subsidies gradually decrease. So we might start with 80%, then we might go to 70%, we might go to 80%. The student can stay in this program up to 6 months. And again, the goal is that at the 6-month mark, the student is able to maintain their housing and their rent on their own. There's other supports that we might be able to provide. For example, if we know that the student might need other support beyond what we have, we might connect them with an agency, a community agency that might be able to provide subsidies. We did that a lot recently with a program called Shallow Subsidy, where we were able to transition some of our students from this subsidy to that subsidy so that they have longer term support. Again, through this 6-month program, the students are also being case managed. And the idea is the same, that they are reaching those goals that are going to be developed by the student and the case manager in the housing stability plan. And then we also have something that we brought on board a couple of years ago, the emergency housing grant. So sometimes our students are in need of just very temporary support. That means that maybe their hours were cut at work, or they were not able to meet the demands of that semester, of that month, because they needed to cut the hours to focus on their finals, or an emergency came up. What we have is a housing emergency grant where students are able to apply for financial support to be able to support their housing needs. Now, it's very important to remember this is just about housing needs. So anything that is related to a housing situation, that could be rent, that could be some bills, that could be moving costs. For example, let's say that a student is moving in. We're not in this situation anymore, but a couple of years ago, we were in a situation where landlords were asking for an astronomical amount of move-in cost. So we might be able to provide a month's worth of support. The student will come and apply. Again, they apply through the same application that I showed earlier, and that will tell us what they're looking for. This program does require that the student shows us a proof of need. So some of the documentation that a student might be able to provide to us will be, for example, an application to an apartment building, because they pay, for example, $25, $30 for an application. And in order to move in, you have to pay the move-in cost, right? So then we know that we have to provide that money for the student to move in. It could be a lease agreement. It could be a past due bill, for example, if the student is past due in rent and they are trying to avoid eviction. Those are some of the documents documentations that we will be able to accept. And then we have our last resort, housing navigation. We know that a lot of our students, this is their first time away from home. The housing market is crazy ridiculous for those of us that have been doing it for a really long time. So it's a really stressful situation, and it's a really stressful process for a lot of the students who have never done it before. So what we offer through housing navigation, again, is the guidance to be able to navigate how to find your own space. This is meant for students who have the resources and the means, meaning that they are not homeless, they don't lack a space to live, they have somewhere to stay, and they have the means to be able to provide for themselves, but they just don't know how to they don't know how about navigating the process of finding a space to live. This could be things like, how do I talk to a landlord? What are some of the questions that I ask landlord? Where do I look for a space? What is the appropriate rent for a one-bedroom apartment? What is not appropriate for a one-bedroom apartment? Don't send any money over Facebook. Don't send any money over Venmo. View an apartment before you say yes. So those are the type of guidances that we offer. And this is done by our housing stability case managers. And again, the way that you would apply for this will be through the application. And then I wanted to talk to you a little bit, Katie, asked that I talk to you a little bit about what's coming and the exciting building that is coming probably at the end of this year. The Valera Nest, you probably all seen the construction, have heard the construction. And you all used to meet in the Grand Salon, and I meet here, but the Valera Nest is coming. This is a building that is going to be housed where the pub was, if you all remember, if you were here when the pub was here. This building is going to be housed all of our programs. Currently, all of our programs are operational, but we as staff are dispersed throughout campus. So for example, I'm housed out of the USU along with the housing stability care coordinators. Crystal and the food programs are housed in Laurel Hall. So it makes it a little bit harder for a student to access all of our services at once, right? So this is one of the goals that we're hoping to accomplish with bringing all of our services to one building. And it's kind of like a basing. So I wanted to give you a quick preview of what you can expect and what are the services that are going to be housed out of the Valera Nest. So here's a few pictures of what you can expect. Again, the main thing is that it's going to really allow us to be together as resources, but also is going to expand some of our resources. So for example, Crystal mentioned earlier in the CSUN Food Pantry, currently we offer dried and canned goods and fresh produce, right? So that's on every other Wednesday. What we're going to be able to do when we transition to the Valera Nest is have refrigeration, which is going to allow us to have perishable items, things like eggs, which are really expensive, milk, dairy, meats, and the idea is to have produce every day. And we're also going to transition to a shopping model. So currently we have a prepackaged model where the student comes and they get a bag that's been prepackaged for them. Now we try really hard to do a good job in adhering to likes, dislikes, dietary needs, but within the transition to the Valera Nest, the student will be able to come in and shop like if it was a grocery store. There will be a process, of course, but in the picture you see it's really small, but we are really excited that it's going to bring and it's going to expand those services to what we already offer. We're also going to have Isla's Kitchen. It's going to be an opportunity for us to do some of that teaching that we currently do primarily on our Instagram. Things like, how do I cook an egg? Things like, how do I cut a tomato? You think it's easy, but it's not. You can cut yourself. So those are some of the things that we're going to be able to do. We're going to do a lot of demonstrations and a lot of teaching. Then we'll, of course, have the cold food lockers, which are really a game changer, particularly for those students who are here later and are not able to. Right now, for example, if a student was to go to class, they need to take their bag of food to class and then bring it to the car. With the lockers, they'll have the ability to store their food while they're in class and pick it up on their way to their car. So this is really going to be a game changer for students and their ability to obtain food, as well as being able to maintain their food while they're in class and then come back and heat it up and have lunch, because we know that eating out is very expensive. So we're hoping to really minimize that cost to the student. To that end, we will also have microwaves throughout the Isla's Kitchen. Currently, there is a map that Crystal's students developed about all of the microwaves that are on campus, but they're dispersed all over campus. Our goal is to have I think I heard somewhere between 30 and 40 microwaves in there. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that because I could be lying. Uh, and then the other thing that we're gonna have, again, all of our offices are gonna be in there. So all of our the coordinators and my office will be in there. And then last but not least, Maddie's Closet will also be in there. Maddie's Closet is managed by the Career Center, but nonetheless, it's a basic need. It's a service that is a resource to our students, particularly for those situations when you need to find professional clothing. So Maddie's Closet is also going to transition to be in the Valera Nest. And then that's our contact information. Should you need to get a hold of us, that QR code takes you directly to our Instagram, where we have a lot of our information. You will notice that we have a really active social media presence. And we do that because we know that's what works. So a lot of our demonstrations and a lot of our information is on our Instagram page. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much to you both. We'll go ahead and start with questions. We'll go Melanie, Alvaro, then Ella. Then,
I don't necessarily have a question. I think this works. I think it's just my voice. But I just want to say thank you for all that you all do. It's like amazing work. I have used a lot of the resources that you all provide and work on a daily basis. I don't think we all, I mean, maybe you all understand that this makes a really big impact on students, and a lot of students don't know about these resources, and once they find out about these resources, they're like, oh my gosh, like so much more stuff that they didn't have. Maybe they didn't have those resources back at home. We deal with so many different kinds of students that need different kinds of things, resources. Maybe I don't need the food pantry today, but I might need the CalFresh screening or something, and it's those things that you use on a daily basis, especially as college students, it really does make a really big impact and difference in the campus and the community life. So I just want to say thank you so much for
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, same thing over here. I think all of the resources are great, and we definitely are looking forward to collaborate with y'all just to make sure that everyone knows about these resources.
Great.
I wanted to ask about whether there were some plans on providing special support, of course, both for housing and food, for any students who were fire victims.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually didn't mention that. My apologies. We did develop something. We currently have a fire recovery grant that is aimed specifically to support those students that were affected by the fires. So we have about 17 applications that we're currently processing specifically for students that were affected by the fires. Sorry, I totally flaked on that. But in our website, when you go to the when you go to the website, the main website, which is that our website, on the very top, you'll see a message about our support for those that were impacted by the fires. And there was we created a specific shorter application for those students to be able to provide them support. And again, our main resource is really in the form of a grant, because a lot of those students are really looking to either stay with their families or move into somewhere new. So those students can definitely apply for support. And we will, of course, ask for some documentation to prove the need, but we know that the need is there. One of the things that we'll do is verify that the student lived in the area, or that there was something that happened in the area. For example, if a student worked in the area and now that place of work is no longer there, we understand that the student no longer has employment, therefore they're not able to make their rent. Thank you for bringing that up. I apologize. Yes, we did develop a grant that is specifically aimed at supporting students who were impacted by the fires.
I can add. In regards to food, there's actually a lot of stuff we've been sharing on our CalFresh outreach Instagram. In regards to currently, there's a hot food waiver in place. So meaning that anybody who has CalFresh, who can normally not purchase pre-prepared meals, right? So things like my go-to is always like rotisserie chicken. I don't know why, that's the thing that sticks in my head. So you can't normally buy that. With your benefits, you currently can buy those items through, I believe it's until February 8th, and they're continue to extend it based off of, the need that they see. Additionally, if you have been impacted by the fire and you have CalFresh and you lost the food that you had already purchased, you're able to put in a ticket with the team to see if you can get a rebate on the benefits that you spent and the food that you had lost. There is one more thing that we're kind of impending for. It's called the DEBT, the disaster EBT. So when that comes through, there's also usually where they extend additional benefits to people who receive CalFresh or to those who don't currently have CalFresh but might need that additional support. That's still pending, but if we do get information about that, we put all of that on our social media, and we also reshare to the basic needs page as well. So you can always follow our Instagram for that.
Thanks so much.
I did want to echo what both Mel and Alvaro had said regarding coming in today. I really appreciate it. And when you were going over the presentation, as questions came up in my head, you were answering them before I could even raise my hand. I did have two additional questions. With the food pantry being expanded and being in a more central location, and especially with some more of those refrigerated items that are more expensive, is it still going to be completely free, or cost just going to be lowered for some of those like $8 eggs down to like $2, say, or is it still going to be free to students?
The intention is for the pantry to remain the free resource that it has been. We're really lucky that we have the support of the administration, so we do have a funding source. We are also really lucky that we receive support from you all. We do have that annual contribution. We also have a really active development department that has really been active in making sure that we have those resources available. And then we continue to look for other avenues to support students, like the grants, for example. Both of the CalFresh programs are grant funded, so we are able to then provide that support to the students in that regard. But the goal is for the program to remain as free of charge as it has been.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question was in regards to, again, it is going to be in a more central location, and hopefully the demand goes up. Are there any concerns with being able to meet the demand, or anything that AS can do on our end to help with making sure that you don't run out of resources, anything like that, that we can assist with?
Sure, we're not worried about meeting the demand. I actually really would welcome the opportunity for the students more students to come, right? Obviously, when we get to that space, we're gonna be looking to how we operate differently. Right now, we only operate 4 days a week and we operate half days. Most likely that will change. We will definitely look at what the demand is. We are very lucky in that we have different avenues to us student feedback. And of course, one of the things that we know is that we would love to be open more, longer hours. With that does come a couple of things that we would need to look at. For example, employing more staff, so that we're able to then sustain the operations. So that's an area that we can potentially look at when we think about supporting. How can we support the program? It would be with support to be able to have more staff on site to be able to meet the demand. When we think about purchasing, we talked about the eggs. They're a really hot topic right now. Those are very expensive, right? So currently we do have a system where we have about 40% of our food comes through donation, not only from campus departments, which have been extremely helpful, but also through community organizations. We have two primary organizations that donate regularly to us. SOBA, it's a food bank here about 10 minutes, and MEND, which is where all of our produce comes from. So our hope is that we are able to increase those donations as well, because right now our donations are based on what we need, right? So as the need increases, we will then be able to look at increasing those donations, and also starting to look for more avenues to be able to gain that, those resources. Some of the things that we might be able to look at is gaining the donations directly from grocery stores, as opposed to having to go through a CBO, a community organization, which is essentially a mediator. Maybe we can really start working with grocery stores where those donations come directly to us. We know that Trader Joe's donates a lot. We know that Ralph's donates a lot. A lot of those big chain stores donate a lot. So really it's going to be about, when we think whatever the support systems that maybe you all can think about, it will be starting to look at those relationships with bigger organizations that can then donate to us directly.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we make a yearly contribution to the food pantry of $15,000 for you all to know. So when we get to the annual budget point of the semester, you all will be able to see that firsthand. Senator Olgan.
Thank you for today. I have actually a couple questions. One that regarding for the emergency housing grant. Usually when there's grants for this kind of emergency, it kind of conflicts with the student loan, work study, or the FAFSA awards. So is there anything or still same with like how do you guys take in consideration someone who is in need?
Sure. So thank you for bringing that up. Our grants are coordinated with financial aid. So we do one of the things that we require is an overview of the financial aid package for a couple of reasons, to be able to understand what the students already receive, but also to understand what's available for the student to be able to access. We also have the ability to be able to advocate for that grant or those funds to not be counted toward the cost of attendance based on a criteria that was provided through us from the chancellor's office. So for the most part, they are there is a process where we do collaborate with financial aid on a daily basis. And what we try to do is really come up to a solution where the student is supported. So for example, if we're in a situation where the students, what we call unmet need has been met and there's no room for us to provide a grant, one of the things that we will do is we will communicate with financial aid for a cost of attendance appeal. Maybe there has been some things that have changed in the student's situation. They were originally indicated in their FAFSA that they were living at home and they didn't have a need for rental assistance. But that may be changed because now that the student is in a need where they need to live on their own, and now they have a monthly rental need, right? So those things change. So anything that is an original category in the cost of attendance can be then we can send the student back to financial aid to have those conversations of whether that package can be adjusted. And we also have the ability to be able to advocate in behalf of the student to see if that aid can be excluded from the from the cost of attendance. But as of right now, we've been really lucky that financial aid works with us very closely. And again, both of our goals is to really support the student and to be able to provide the student what they need.
That's good to hear. Thank you. I wasn't aware of the appeal, so that's actually amazing to know. Another question for the emergency housing. Is there a dedicated unit or apartment building for the students in need, or it's based on that if there's availability? Because also housing is a business, the school makes money off of it, but how many units available for these specific needs, or they are located in the regular student dorms or at the UVA? How do you guys manage the units available for students?
Sure. Another great question. We have a collaboration with Season Residential Life where we have up to right now, because of the fires, we were given the green light to go up a little higher. Typically, we have anywhere from 4 to 6 beds that can be allocated to temporary emergency housing. There's those times in the year when we are not able to have students there because of certain situations like move-in day, for example, right? They need to be able to do their primary responsibilities first. So we do have beds that are allocated specifically for temporary emergency housing and Season Residential Life. When we're talking about the College Focus Rapid Rehousing Program, bridge housing units, so those that are from 3 to 6 months, we have 12 beds available. We're looking to increase that to 16 beds. And then we also have a hybrid bridge program where the student can be in that unit for about a year. And in this program, they contribute to their monthly rent. We have 4 of those. And then when it comes to the rapid rehousing program, it's really about what the student's able to find, right? So we do have funds available to support a number of students.
Thank you. Number seems small to me compared to how many students we have, almost like 40,000.
Sure.
But I hope that it gets better. And I was thinking as like a unit, but instead of like you mentioned, it's the bed, just to give them some shelter. That's understandable. Another thing question for Valeria Nest hours, is it going to be 8 to 5 or due to lockers, it's going to be extended hours like late nights? Do you guys have any hours for the Valeria Nest?
We currently are actually open on Wednesdays through 7 o'clock, and the goal is to remain with some evening hours because we understand that a student is not just here from 9 to 5. So the goal is to remain open through the evening some days. We still haven't decided what days those are going to be. Again, we're still in the planning process, but we will have that decided as we open, hopefully, I think toward the end of the fall.
Thank you so much. Besides the departments, also the Valeria Nest hours, are you guys going to decide with the other departments? Like your department will open until 7, but where the lockers are, the student have access for later hours?
Yeah, so the lockers will be located outside the building, so students will have access to the lockers. Again, the process is still in the works, but think of, for example, when you go to Amazon or when you order from Amazon, you know, those Amazon lockers where you can go and pick up your item anytime because you've been given a code. That would be kind of the process that we're thinking we're gonna have there.
Awesome, thank you so much. Last, I just wanna acknowledge that this shopping style is gonna be amazing as students, you know, get to do their own. And acknowledging there's the food pantry run by 22 students is amazing. The whole school runs by the student, like that's amazing. But also hopefully in the future, you guys get to hire more staff as it's gonna be really hard for Crystal, one professional and rest. But thank you so much again for today. It's amazing and all great stuff to hear.
Thank you.
Thank
Let me
you.
just say it's really hard to get Krista to take time off.
Senator Pulliam,
Permission to be recognized and then I have a question.
granted.
Thank you. So for the spaces that you guys are currently in, that you're going to be moving to Villa Aranés, what's going to be happening with those spaces?
The spaces that we're currently at, you mean
Yes.
our offices and the pantry.
Mhm.
That's not something that we get to decide. Of course,
Okay.
you know, if
Okay.
I'm wishing in the stars, we are probably gonna need some space. The space that we have is great, so we're not sure, but
Mhm.
yeah.
All good. And then also, for the cold lockers, like, do you know a ballpark of like how many you're gonna have? Because I know the picture kind of cut off. It didn't have all the numbers.
I actually don't have the exact number,
Okay, all good.
but I imagine it would be quite a few. I mean, if you think about just a shoe wrap around the building.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
I muted myself. Thank you to you both. We really appreciate you coming here and answering our questions.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and if you have any further questions, if you wish to visit us, please feel free to do so. We're happy to answer any questions that might have not come up today.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right. We'll now move into open forum. Open forum is intended as an opportunity for any member of the public to address the Associated Students Senate regarding any issues affecting CSUN students. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes each to speak. Please sign in using the clipboard for minute recording purposes. Is there anyone here for open forum? If so, please approach the podium.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Good to see all of your faces, full Senate here. You know, I can't think of a better way to start the semester than to come and to hear my colleagues here talk about basic needs. I am, Maria and Crystal, so proud of you and so grateful for your work, and Dr. Shelley Rellis Bischoff, who's not here. And I want to thank all of you students, because this got started because of students. You know, there was a time when we just took for granted that students were just suffering in silence. You know, you were just doomed to eat top ramen and, you know, couch surf, that was a rite of passage. And at some point in time, we began to get some understanding of how much these kinds of supports matter in the journey to student success. And the voices for that were student leaders up and down the state of California. We started out some things with donations, et cetera, but over time, it was the student voice in the legislature to begin to get some base funding so these programs could in fact come into fruition and we could have at least the staffing that we need to begin to provide the services. As I sat there and listened to all that we have for students, we're now #1 deputizing all of you as ambassadors for the Basic Needs Center. There's a lot going on there. And we didn't always understand all of these various kinds of ways that students need resources. You think that food support is a one-size-fits-all or housing is one. You hear now all of these individual strategies are a function of what we've learned working with students along the way about how we as an institution will serve them. And so I thank my colleagues here, but I too thank you as student leaders. What you do matters. You know, long before generally we have an insight into the kinds of things that are challenging and difficult for students, again, on this journey to success. And so we want to encourage you to continue to speak up. We want to encourage you to continue to put money in your budget so that you can support. We'll take more than 15,000, you know, whatever, since we're concerned about that kind of thing. But we'll find a way to get it done. Our donors, many of our alums, are really inspired to give back to an initiative like this versus other things that the university might be raising funds for. I mean, CSUN with the Heart is called that because it touches us right there. And so I'm just so really delighted about that, and that you have an interest in, and the continuing interest in the Valera Nest, because you'll be hearing more and more about that. I wanted to come over and just say a few things. First, you're all aware that we've communicated with our entire student body about the circumstances of the fire. You know, fires, those impacts are going to be with us for a very, very long time. And our hearts go out to all of the students and employees who've been impacted in one way or another. Some of that is in the form of having lost a dwelling. In other instances, as you've heard just a moment ago, some of the ways in which we're assisting students are students who've lost their employment because their place of employment was inside those areas. There's about 456 students who are in our database here who had addresses that are in the fire areas, the Palisades or the Eden fires. Now, that doesn't mean that they live there. Of course, this is just the addresses that we have on file. But we've communicated to all students so that we don't miss any students, and saying to them that if you have a need, and we have two sources, one through the Medicare grant area there, and that's our financial aid area, the fire relief support there, and the other through the housing space that you've heard. All of that's available. Campus resources, navigate there for student resources, and make sure that you're feeling comfortable in how you refer students to those resources as well. There's also a reminder that counseling resources, I mean, I can't imagine what students are going through and trying to put all of this together and to still remain engaged in their educational journey. But one of the first things we encourage students to do is to not give up, and to continue to stay in the process of going forward in their educational journey. I hope that if there are students around you that you're interacting with, that you are being a blessing to them and encouraging them and supporting them in ways that they might need. Sometimes that's just someone to listen to the circumstances and challenges that they're engaged in. If you come across things that we can do as an institution to support our students who are in that circumstance, please reach out to us in that regard. You also received last Friday communication from the university to all of our students, talking about some of our concerns relative to students who might be feeling the pressure of all of the immigration enforcement things that are happening around us. Just sharing with my colleague, the chief of police here. You were not here when we went through this last time, and we're going through this again. Sadly, none of us would have thought that we would be back here at this moment. But we have, since the first episode of this, been very, very clear that when our students are here as a part of the campus community, we are concerned about everything that impacts their journey here. And certainly the idea that individuals might be subject to enforcement activity. We want to be clear in terms of typically the role of university police in that regard, and that they are not agents of immigration officers and et cetera. We want to make sure that students are aware of our Dream Center, and they are there, but you know, we all need to recognize that one office can't do all of the heavy lifting of providing support for all of our students and employees who are also impacted on our campus. So we want to make sure that we're listening, we're being reassuring, that we are able to know as much as available. If you would go to not only the Dream Center, but the CSU has a website with resources for undocumented students that really is quite rich. A broad range of things and guidance that they have been providing to the campus. Information about know your rights. We remind individuals that irrespective of citizenship status, there are rights that accrue to students here, and there's guidance in terms of what students ought to do if they find themselves engaged in enforcement action. It was important to us to likewise communicate to all faculty and staff so that they understand the guidance that we're providing for our students, and importantly, that they recognize that we are not providing and disclosing student records to third-party individuals. Student records are not released without the student's permission, and et cetera. So there's a lot of different levels of this, and you're going to likely hear about concerns that students might be having often before we hear of them. Again, we ask that you have communication with us and share. Your student body president and vice president are just fabulous partners for us. And where we are moving slow or less clear about kinds of things, we welcome their urging and likewise to you. So I think this is going to be a challenging semester. I think it is. This will be a time when we will all have to have our heads and our hearts in the game, paying attention to things, because many things are emerging right now that are coming forward politically and otherwise in ways that will be brand new. But we're here at Cal State Northridge, and we are a tremendously resilient community. We're committed to the journeys that we have, both for you students, primary objectives, and the careers that our employees have here. And we will certainly get through this semester, and I look forward to shaking some hands come commencement, which is going to come here much sooner than we imagined. So just wanted to say welcome back for the spring, and thank you so much for your great service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Watkins. Always a pleasure to have you here and working with us all the time. Thank you.
Good morning, President Karoum, Vice President Khan, and distinguished members of the AS government. It is my pleasure and also my great honor to speak before you today regarding an area of great concern for all of us, I think, and that is the current administration, federal administration's actions on immigration status. So first, let me kind of reiterate what Vice President Watkins said. Department of Police Service has never and will not at any time act as agents for federal immigration enforcement. I would rather you look at us as agents of the campus and supportive of our students, all of our students. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions directly related to that kind of enforcement and what our role will be, and I'll be happy to answer those questions with you today. Please understand that the Department of Police Services is a campus partner in everything that occurs that supports student success. I know that this feels very uncharted, but as Dr. Watkins suggested earlier, we kind of went through this once before. Having said that, some of this is going to be new because we have a very aggressive administration that's doing things that have never been done before. And so we know that there's going to be a different feel to it this time, or at least we're trying to anticipate those things. So today I may not have all your answers. I may not be able to answer the question, but I brought my pen and I brought a piece of paper, and I will gladly write those questions down and try to address them as we can. I will work very closely with the campus leadership. I assure you I already am on how we address and how we support all of our students. So with that, I could very easily kind of go over what we would do in the event of immigration enforcement officials coming on, if you'd like me to do that, or I can just respond to your questions. How would you like me to address that?
You could address
What would happen?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so
go for it.
what is DPS's role? What is the Department of Police Services role in this case? The Department of Police Services will be called upon if, and I say the if because we don't know this is going to happen yet, but let's assume that immigration officials come and they come to enforce immigration laws or rules of regulation. Our role will be to come and review any paperwork, whether that be a warrant, whether that be a subpoena, make sure that they follow all laws, state and federal, and be able to address what would be allowed to occur, all right? Immigration officials have very specific rules of engagement, we'll say, okay? And so they may come on and request, if it happens, to enforce one of their immigration rules. So we would come if that happened, and we would review that warrant and make sure that it's lawful. Okay. I want to be very transparent. We're not going to engage with law enforcement officials and get into any kind of physical altercation. That is what court would be for. That is what review would be for. I don't want to give any false impressions of what Department of Police Services will do. But we will make sure that all of those laws, all those warrants, if they come into play, are lawful and enforceable. So that's basically our role. I, the chief of police, am responsible for reviewing those. We are going to train all our officers to review those, and in my absence, the deputy chief will take on that role. So I commit to you today to remain available to our students 24/7 as I am now. And if for some reason I am not here, the deputy chief will take my role. So if I leave town, I will have somebody ready to take my place. So we are here 24/7 to respond to that. So if that question comes through, and our students or faculty or staff, anybody that finds that they need that kind of review, contact the police dispatch. They've been instructed to contact me immediately with immigration questions. Okay. So that's kind of an overview of what we'll do, and I'm happy to answer any questions or hear further comments.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions? Senator Basilio.
So my question is, let's say you review any papers they might have, warrants, whatever. If it's all legal, are you going to just let them take our students?
Yeah, so I spoke to that. I don't want to give you a false impression. We cannot fight a lawful order. Okay. And I think it's important that our all our students understand that. We will ensure that the order is lawful. And where appropriate, we will advise immigration officers if they cannot enter, if they don't have the proper paperwork, i.e. warrant. Okay. Generally speaking, just so you know, warrants that usually involve immigration status are what's called an administrative warrant. And so those of you that have studied this know that that is not an order given by a judge. That order is not enforceable in a non-public space. Okay, so we would advise that officer, if they decide to try to enter a non-public space, that they may not. On the other hand, if they bring a court order, one signed by a judicial officer, i.e. judge, those have the force of being able to enter into private space. Okay. Good question.
Thank you. Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Thank you for being here. I was wondering if there were any plans to sort of make a guide for students on how to be prepared in case of those scenarios. I mean, as we have undocumented students, we also have international students.
Yes.
So that's also another concern of mine.
So the answer, I believe, is yes. That's a question that probably is more appropriate for Dr. Watkins, but I know that they are preparing documentation, red cards and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Senator Perez.
Thank you. I just have a clarifying question. Your duty is to the students and to the campus. And we did talk about public spaces versus private spaces and whatnot. in the situation you are called to review documents and whatnot, is that if it's only pertaining to a situation that occurred on the CSUN campus? Is there a specific range with that? Or, because I also don't know if dorms technically count as a private or a public space and
So
whatnot.
dorms are private.
Okay.
Okay, that's a private space. So, in order to enter somebody's private space, the Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment provide our safety in being in our own private space. That would require a warrant from a judicial officer to enter that space. Did that answer your question?
To some extent. So are you only called in a situation when it occurs on campus, or is there like a larger range of Northridge? Or I guess like to what extent are you involved in the area? Because I also know a lot of our students are commuters. I would assume you don't go as far as like Ventura County, obviously, but
Yeah, good question.
what-
We will deal with anything that comes onto the campus, right? There's also going to be services made available. I believe they already are for legal services for our students that probably will deal with those more general concerns that might occur outside of the campus.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you so much, Chief. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, my pleasure. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak before you today. I understand that what we're dealing with it causes fear, causes anger, causes to some extent even grief. I'm here to say that the Department of Police Services shares all of those emotions with you as well. And please know that we are here as part of the university's support system as to the best of our ability to provide safe space for our students. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Lopez.
Just to amplify a little bit, and we're within footsteps of the Dream Center. I would encourage an invitation to the Dream Center for the manager there to come and to talk with you more fully about some of the questions that you have, particularly having a deeper understanding of the resources that are being made available to students. There's a ton of work that's being done in the legal space. CARESEN is the organization that has been a legal partner for our university, as well as there is through the AS Legal Service, there is legal resources that are available there. We're trying to make sure that students have themselves as much knowledge as they will need for their own, because students have different situations going on with them. So we want to make sure that they have the information that they need, the language. You've heard reference to the red cards, and I have a few here that, are just basic cards that have phrases and things that you can say to an enforcement official that articulate your own rights to them and your own willingness to permit them to come into your private spaces or not, or et cetera. The key thing is that if any enforcement action is happening anywhere on this campus, individuals should be referring those enforcement officials over to university police to be dealt with in that particular space. The question about what happens between a student's apartment, for example, and coming to campus, we're going to primarily be dealing with what happens once the student is here on our campus. But there may be certain advice that we might have for a student as to what they ought to be doing between their leaving their dwelling and coming to campus. So I think there may be some benefit to having that further conversation, either here at Senate or to create some space where you can just have a dialogue with your fellow students and leaders who are from the center there. There's also the question about international students. And the key thing that we wanted to make clear to the international students in our communication with them, our international students are here on generally F1 visas. They need to stay in visa compliance, and they need to be that in order to continue to be enrolled here. And so there was a reminder for them. International Exchange Student Center is a place where they can find out any information that they may need in that regard. We communicated to those students that they had better be back in the US before the start of the semester. So that ship has sailed, and we haven't heard of any concerns of students, and there has been no federal action taken to block students from coming from particular countries to the US on their visas. So right now that space seems to be pretty settled and we have less concern there. We wanted to make sure that students were aware that this is not a time to fall out of compliance. You need to be enrolled, you need to be in your classes and attending there. But yeah, I just wanted to add those things. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Watkins. Is there anyone else here for open forum?
Good morning, everybody. I am here to just do two quick introductions and updates. So for those of you that don't know, my name is James Forster. I serve as the AS Programs Manager. I oversee our AS Productions Department and our AS Sustainability Department. Typically, I will be here almost every week that I can to provide you all with updates of events that we have coming up for that upcoming week, just so that you all can stay informed on the programs that we're hosting in productions and sustainability, as well as to just hope you all spread the word to your constituents and other people as well. We have no upcoming events this week, so I'm going to keep my part of the conversation here short and sweet. The only thing I do have to say is that we are doing pre-sale Big Show tickets right now. We'll be announcing the artist next Monday. So if you're interested in getting a discounted price on the ticket, you can go ahead and check out the website or the ticket office to purchase that ticket. Also, while I'm up here, I want to allow our new sustainability coordinator the opportunity to introduce herself to you all as well. So without further ado, our new sustainability coordinator.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Cardano, and I'm the new AS Sustainability Coordinator. And it's an honor to be speaking with you today, and I'm really excited to be a part of AS. A little bit about my background. So my background is in zero waste education and event producing and consulting, but I'm also a community organizer. So I'm a community organizer for environmental justice, as well as expanding rights and protections for migrants in the San Fernando Valley. And so my goal as I'm just getting settled here today and throughout these past weeks is just to learn more about the groups, departments, and folks here on campus to make sustainability more relatable to everyone. For me, sustainability is not just about throwing your stuff in the right bin or, turning off the lights when you're not using them, but the very foundation of sustainability for me is building community, creating resiliency in each other and leaning on each other. And that's really something that is really important as of right now with today's climate, not just environmentally, but also politically. The whole sustainability movement was and is propelled by students and young people. So all of you have a really great position as leaders to steer how sustainability shows up here on this campus and in your communities. And I'll always be a champion to, bounce ideas off of each other and to see how we can expand what sustainability means to everybody here on campus. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And I just look forward to connecting with all of you and to see what we can do to connect students to sustainability and what it means to them.
Thank you so much for the introduction and welcome to the organization.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheen Gupta. I'm on today's agenda under installation for Lobby Corps, and I just quickly wanted to introduce myself to the Senate. So I'm a freshman majoring in political science, and I strive to become a criminal lawyer. I've been a part of student government all throughout high school, and I've attended multiple leadership academies. I've also held leadership positions within my city's government under the mayor's office, as well as the police department. I am extremely excited to have the opportunity to join Lobby Corps and to become a voice for my fellow peers, and look forward to becoming a part of the team that we have here at Associated Students. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome, Sheen. We're happy to have you. And not yet. Senate approval. We're happy to almost possibly have you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all know who I am, but again, my name is Curie. I'm here to kind of comment on a few things. The first one is please approve Shane for our lobby corps. I've had the pleasure of getting to know her, and I think that she would be an amazing addition, not only to lobby corps, but to Associated Students. You guys have all gotten the chance to kind of meet her, and she's just brilliant and amazing, and please unanimously vote for her. Okay, okay. Other than that, I'm here to pledge my support for Alvaro for Chair of External Affairs, Kimberly for Chair of Internal Affairs, and Jocelyn for Chair of University Affairs. I've gotten to know each one of them in various capacities. I've gotten to work alongside all of them for various things, and they are amazing leaders, and I think given the opportunity to chair a committee, they would do great things alongside all of you guys. So I would like for all of you guys to vote for them for chair. And then my last order of business is I would like to urge you guys to vote against the students that are asking to leave Senate at 10 a.m. or Senate to attend 10 a.m. classes. I think this is very disrespectful towards the Senate standing rules and your roles as senators. You are all here to represent the student body. And given how everything is going politically wise, you guys should be here listening to everything that is going on in Senate, being here present on behalf of your students. You are here elected by the students, paid by the students, so you should all be here for your students. And if you're all missing more than half of the Senate meetings, still getting those paychecks, I don't think that you deserve to be a senator. So I urge you all to please vote against the 10 a.m. classes. Thank you.
I will preface to our senators that is up to you all to make that decision because it is a Senate vote. So if you all deem that the senators that are to leave at 10 a.m. or 11:30 should still stand as senators, that is up to you all. And the same goes for your standing committee chairs. Is there anyone else here for open forum?
Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Daniel. I'm the marketing coordinator for the marketing department. I just wanted to quickly just remind everybody, if you have any events that you're planning or tabling or social media ideas, please just let us know as soon as possible. Just because I want to make sure that we achieve your dreams and your ideas for these events. And I want to make sure that we have the time to be able to create those for you. So just please give us the time to be able to do that for you, and we'll make it happen. But that's all. Just please give us the time to create what we need to create for you. That's all. Thank you.
Daniel's doing a lot right now. So let's be patient and thankful for the marketing department.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Dobler. I'm the Human Resources Manager for Associated Students. I'm not talented like James, so I cannot sign in while I talk, so I'll do it afterwards. I just wanted to wish you all a very successful spring semester. For those of you that are approaching the finish line, keep strong, be there. We're all here to support you.
Is there anyone else here for open forum? What a great and lively open forum, everyone. Don't we agree? So before we go into reports, I will temporarily adjourn this meeting and then move on to the special meeting if there are no objections to that. Okay, seeing none. I will call our special meeting to order at 10:16 a.m. We'll go ahead and start with the roll call with Attorney General Martinez.
Vice President Khan.
Here.
Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio. Here. Senator Flores.
Here.
Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris.
Here.
Senator Covino.
Here.
Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Nunez.
Here.
Senator Olgun,
Here.
Senator Perez,
Here.
Senator Pulliam,
Here.
Senator Ueda,
Here.
Senator Shirazadi,
Here.
Senator Toledo Carranza,
Here.
and Senator Tran. We have quorum.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. And after a motion is made for the approval of the agenda, I would recommend during discussion that an amendment is made to this agenda to strike through under new business line item C to suspend section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Harris to take a class. We have just found out that that will not be necessary. So once a motion for the approval is made during discussion, please, I recommend an amendment to strike that through. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to approve the agenda for the special meeting today on January 27th, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Ueda. Any discussion on the approval of the agenda? Senator Gavin.
I move to amend the agenda to strike through under new business line item C to suspend section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Harris to take a class from 11:30 a.m. to 12:45 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Flores. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing no discussion, we'll take the amendment to a vote. All in favor of approving the amendment to strike through line item C under new business to suspend section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Harris to take a class from 11:30 to 12:45. Please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes. Amendment passes. We'll now move back to discussion on the motion as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we will take this to a vote. All in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes. We'll now move past special presentation and open forum and reports into new business. We have line items A and B. I will request motions for them individually. So the first motion is to suspend section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Rodriguez Ueda to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Gavino.
I move to suspend section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Rodriguez Ueda to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Miyoshi. Any discussion? Senator Gavino.
Point of information, and Senator Rodriguez Ueda, you don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable, but I would ask if the senator is on track to graduate this semester and whether taking this class or not would affect that.
I'll defer that to Senator Ueda. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. I'd just like to quickly explain the situation. So yeah, I am a graduating senior, and the class I will be taking at 10 a.m. is my senior project, which does last 2 semesters. Last semester, I enrolled in the 4 p.m. class, but as a result of the group project that I joined is in partnership with the professor. It's spread across 2 classes, the 4 p.m. section and the 10 a.m. section. So for this semester, against my will, he's moving all of the 4 p.m. members of this project into the 10 a.m. project. And yeah, it's really out of my control. I have to take this. I need to finish it. And I did not want it to be at 10 a.m. And I'm worried that it conflicts with Senate. But even though I may be leaving the meetings early, I will still be in my standing committees. I will still be working on my personal project. And I will still be in office hours. So yeah, thank you.
Senator Perez.
Just for a point of information, with suspending the rules, if the class ends at 11:15, is there an expectation he returns, or do we have to, like, I guess, how does that work?
I would say yes. So hypothetically, if the Senate meeting were to still be going on past 11:15, technically speaking, if Senator Wada were to leave the meeting at 10 a.m. or 9:50, so anytime any senator needs to leave a meeting, they have to ask for permission to be point of personal privilege, and then they leave the meeting. And technically, if they were to come back and the Senate meeting is still happening and the final roll call has not been taken, they could ask for permission to be recognized and participate in that meeting. And technically, them being gone for that hour 15 doesn't affect them. I would ask for a point of information from Denise to see if I'm on the right track. But technically, to be considered tardy or absent from a meeting, it's to be considered from the initial roll call to final roll call. So if you're not present for both, or you're not present for one of them, then that is when it like technically appears on like a record that. Denise, is that correct? Okay, yeah, that's. Yeah, so you're still expected. So this is with everything aside from like this, is that since you all, aside from anyone else that we have suspended standing rules for, which I don't think we have this past year, everyone is expected to be available from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. period already. So it kind of applies to that as well.
So if with the motion that was made, we would only be suspending from 10 to 11:15 a.m. essentially. If he wasn't here for anything after 11:16 a.m. would be a penalty.
Correct. That would have required another suspension of the standing rules. So for example, if Senator Wada, which I don't think is the case, had a class from 11:30 to 12:45.
It would be an additional.
Class, that would require an additional Senate standing rule suspension.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Senator Aronson.
I just quickly want to say, I think it's important that we remember that senators, of course, are here to serve the student body, but we're also people and students ourselves. Of course, sometimes there are going to be things that are going to conflict with Senate standing committees, Senate meetings, and I think it's important that we handle these situations with grace, especially in this specific situation where the senator in question did not have a choice based on the time of this meeting. Of course, this is unideal. Of course, all of us understand, or at least, excuse me, should understand that we have a requirement to be here from a certain time. But I think specifically in this situation, it's important that we provide an exception for that because, as I said, senators are people and students as well. And I think that it's unreasonable for us to expect Senator Rodriguez Wada to set aside an important class for his graduation, which is a time that he did not have a choice over, to come here. And of course, the work that we do here is important. Of course, that we have that requirement. But in this situation, I think it's unreasonable for us to expect him to ditch his class, essentially, that he did not, that's a requirement for him, and that he didn't have the choice of to enroll in or to choose the time. So I would encourage that we suspend the rules in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Jimeno Aragon.
Being in STEM, I also agree how sometimes it's difficult to schedule projects with a principal investigator and all that. I think my main concern is, and also a little bit of point of information, how would you carry out your duties outside of Senate? As in, like, what are you looking forward for this semester? How would you collaborate with your senator? And also, like, how would you fulfill your duties that are also outside of the Senate meeting?
Yeah, so Alvaro, I think that's a great question. As you guys will hear later today, I've submitted a bombshell legislative referral, a proposed CSUN electric scooter ban. And I did this out of influence from concerns raised in Faculty Senate. So that's what I'm going to be working on. If you find that important, please vote me to stay.
Also not from now on, this has always been the case. Direct questions to me and I will redirect them to the individual. It's okay. Did you want to add anything, Senator Jimeniano Aragon? Go for it.
And regarding to your the event for your college, like what are your plans for it?
So me and my co-senator have met with our deans. So there's a couple events that we're going to be collaborating with them, the town hall and a research exploration event so students can come in and meet potential PIs. So that is also in progress.
Senator Toledo Carranza.
Yeah, so I agree with Senator Aronson. I think we're people and we're students first. So for us to be able to serve the student body, we're students at CSUN. And yeah, just like vote by grace and mercy for Senator Wada. And because I know as a same major myself, it is really tough with the classes. We have a lack of faculty teaching classes and options, which I'm dealing to right now with a suspension as well with the other Senate agenda because I have no other options and I'm also a graduating senior this fall 2025. So yeah.
Thank you for the discussion. Senator Olgan, then Senator Miyoshi.
Generally speaking, that before applying for the senator position, we have to submit our schedule, and I understand there's things that we cannot control, but if we are all student focused and trying to serve for our student body, I think it's really it takes a lot to acknowledge our limits and the purpose we are here. And it's okay to sometimes, it's bigger person to take, this is enough, it's too much for my plate, and know our limits and obligations for the, being a student, also being a senator. I would say the senators that who is really committed and into the supporting students, if you can't do it physically here, AS is very welcoming and there's different positions and still able to participate in student lives. So I think it's not ethical to, there's a specific, no matter what, you have to be here from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. dedicated time and still willing to stay here in the seat. I think it's amazing to give opportunity to give other people and see what they can bring who can come here for full time and then still able to participate in CSUN AS different ways. Reach out to your colleagues, directly email to the president, what would you like to get better at CSUN? Because me graduating this semester is my last semester. I'm still planning to stay participated in CSUN AS as I'm a community member. I want to see how CSUN get better. Planning future, my children can come to CSUN. So I will still trying to be engaged with CSUN. But again, taking step down from the senator position does not stop you fully from participating in the CSUN AS. There's also other ways or positions that can contribute to students' lives.
Thank you. Oh, Senator Miyoshi, go ahead.
So, point of information, if this particular motion fails to pass, will the senator immediately be vacated from their seat, or will they be requested to change their schedule? Or if they cannot do so, then the vacating will occur?
That's kind of something that we take care of on the back end, but essentially the reason why we have these line items on the agenda is because we have already exercised everything that we could for their schedule to accommodate to Senate. So, on the Senate standing rules, it says if a senator is not available from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., then their seat is vacated. But the Senate standing rule can be suspended with a 2/3 vote, which you can all reference, by the way, on the Senate standing rules. But it is a 2/3 vote. That's actually something I forgot to preface earlier. It's not a majority vote. Usually we do majority vote. This is something that is a 2/3 vote, so that is more than majority.
Am I allowed to provide my own input or should we wait for the other?
Yeah, can I call on other people and then we can
Yes.
come back around? Senator Basilio.
I just want to echo what Tuche was saying. I definitely understand, especially our seniors, that they need to take these classes. But if it's because it's so important, I think focusing on class, even if you have to step down, is more important for students. We need to be here for our constituents, and we can't do that if we're missing an entire hour of our Senate meetings. There's also a lot of us that were able to keep that 9 to 12 p.m. block open, and it seems a little unfair to suspend those rules for other people, but that is just my opinion. But like I said, because these classes are so important, our seniors should focus on those classes instead.
Thank you. And then I really, really, really want to take everyone's comments. Like I'm trying to prioritize that, but try to keep your comments like brief and snappy. Because I do want to go to everyone. So if I end discussion, that's not because I don't want to hear anyone. Senator Miyoshi, we were going to circle back to you. Did you want to add anything?
So yes, putting aside the sort of ethical concerns related to being absent in a Senate meeting, I would like to just sort of, I guess, point out that on the side of Senator Ueda, your inability to be present for at least an hour and a half potentially of the Senate meeting also, this is less concerned about the constituency, but more so the fact that we cannot receive your input for anything that goes on during this section of the meeting. And sure, you may be one person, but as a person who is also trying to submit their own legislative referrals and also wishes to provide input, as you have often done so on previous meetings, I would be sort of concerned that we cannot hear that input from you, and we also miss out your vote, as a lot of stuff tends to happen between these 2 hours, and I understand that there is not much you are able to do regarding this situation, but that is something that I am primarily worried about.
Senator Ueda, I'm going to try to see if this is the last comment. Please go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So on the timing of things, I did look ahead at this and I did collect some raw data. I looked at the meeting minutes of all of our meetings last semester, and even a bit of the semester before that, where I was not here yet. Our average meeting end time is about 10:30 a.m. You can fact check me on that. So I would not, on most cases, be missing an hour and a half. I will be present for 2/3 of the meeting. So besides data, one point that I want to add that's more personal is that I love this role. I did not expect to like this role. I signed up for it, I was going to try it, and it actually shocked me. Like it opened my eyes, like how connected I feel to this entire process. It's a part of me that I didn't know that I had inside me. I didn't do extracurriculars in high school. So when I started exploring those in college, I took on leadership in clubs. I didn't find much novelty or excitement from that. But from this, I do. And, you know, for my future, you know, what may happen. You know, I study computer science. I'm taking artificial intelligence this semester. So, you know, would you want to see someone in the future involved in policy, an AI policy, that actually, you know, has some 2 cents about technology? You know, that's kind of a direction that I'm gravitating towards. So I want to remain in this role. This semester, I'll serve on the AI task force, and I think that my voice there will be really valuable to the administration here. And, you know, if you do vote me out, I just want to say that I'm really appreciative for the time that you've given me, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ueda. That will be our last item of discussion. I will now move us to a vote. Um, I'm actually gonna, I've never done this before, but I think it's because I haven't done this before, but this is because I think this is probably the most robust discussion that we've ever had. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote. Attorney General Martinez, so I'm gonna brief her on it one moment.
Okay. Vice President Khan,
Abstained.
Senator Aronson,
I vote in favor of the suspension.
Senator Basilo,
I vote against the suspension.
Senator Flores,
I vote in support for the suspension.
Senator Gavino,
I abstain.
Senator Geminiano Aragon, Senator Harris, Senator Covina,
I vote for.
Senator Miyoshi,
I vote in favor of the suspension.
Senator Nunez,
I vote in favor of the suspension.
Senator Olgun,
Against.
Senator Perez,
In favor.
Senator Pulliam,
Abstain.
Senator Weda,
I vote in favor of the suspension.
Senator Shirazadi,
I vote in favor of the suspension.
Senator Toledo Carranza,
I vote in favor.
and Senator Tran. Thank you.
Please give us a minute to find out if this is 2/3. Okay, thank you, everyone. So if we are going by 2/3 vote, we would need 12 yeses. We currently have 9 yeses, 3 nos, and 4 abstentions. So the motion does not pass. Senator Gavino.
Point of information, if I voted to abstain, can I move to reconsider as I didn't vote in the affirmative?
I think that someone at any point could move to reconsider an item. So in this case, you could move to reconsider the Senate's, the line item. You would need a second and then approval of that. Give me 1 second. There are no objections. I'm gonna call for like a 5-minute recess. We're gonna figure this out. Thank you. $10.50. back to your seats. We're going to be starting the meeting again. 10:50. Now it's 10:51. We are missing a senator, but that's okay. We can get them to ask for permission to be recognized. So to answer your, I guess, inquiry, so a motion to reconsider is needed from an individual that voted in majority of the motion that is needed to be reconsidered. So the majority vote is yeses to the suspension. So whoever voted in affirmative to suspend, the standing rules, then you may ask for a motion to reconsider. Senator Aronson,
I move to reconsider.
you're going to have to state what you want to reconsider.
I move to reconsider the suspension of Section E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Rodriguez to take his class.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Shirzadi. Any discussion on the motion to reconsider? Senator Heminiana Aragon.
How many votes?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need 2/3 majority. So out of this body, we have 16 voting members present out of 17. We're going to need 12 yeses. So abstentions do not count towards yeses. Abstentions are an abstention. Yes.
And how many yeses are in?
Yeah, I was gonna get to. We have 9 yes. We had 9 yeses, 3 nos, and 4 abstentions. My bad. So 9 yeses, 3 nos, 4 abstentions. Senator Perez.
Question to be recognized.
Granted. Okay, we will take this to a vote. All in favor, for the motion to reconsider line item A to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Rodriguez Weda to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Please raise your hand high. All opposed? All abstain? High, please. Motion passes. So we'll now move back. Also, by the way, that was a majority vote, not 2/3. Motion reconsider is majority. So we'll now move back to line item A on new business to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Rodriguez Weda to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Shirzadi. I'm so sorry. I need you to repeat that into the microphone.
Sorry, give me a second. I move to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Rodriguez Weda to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Perez. Before I move into discussion, I wanted to mention for minute recording purposes, the reconsideration had 10 yeses, 3 nos, and 3 abstentions. Just throwing that out there. We'll now move into discussion on the motion as stated. Is there any discussion? Senator Perez.
I just want to clarify, isn't 2/3 11 votes out of 16, not 12? You stated 12, that's why I just want to. Yeah.
So total voting membership plus the president, because technically I vote to make or break a tie. That's my apologies for not mentioning that. That really counts when we're voting on 2/3. So it is 12. Senator Soto Carranza.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that for the past year and a half, I have been in AS as an upper division senator and now as a science and math senator. And it has been really hard to get like people from science and math and engineering, computer science in the seats due to the classes, due to all of those things that come in interruption with the Senate meetings. And we need those voices. I think we've seen that in Season Ready when they came up with charts and things like that when it comes to the textbooks. But yeah, so just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Point of order.
Go ahead.
Oh, just so that we like can discuss your case like for the next agenda, and then we just focus on a next case.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This will be my last thing I'm taking from discussion. Senator Olgan.
I just want to remind that we have the senators from this agenda. Now, if we have 3 other senators from the original agenda, so 6
Yes.
overall.
Yes, I'm aware. So that's why I'm trying to wrap up discussion. So also, mind you, I'm going to recommend that we table the standing committee chairs to our next meeting because we actually need to be out of here by 11:30 because the USU Board of Directors meets in this room and they need to start setting up at 11:30. I will now move to a vote. I remind you, 2/3 vote. An abstention does not count as either a yes or a no. We will do a roll call vote once more.
Vice President Khan. Abstained. Senator Aronson.
I vote in favor of the suspension.
Senator Basilo.
I vote no in the suspension.
During the voting, please just say yes or no. We will know what it means, or abstain.
Senator Flores.
Yes.
Senator Gavino.
Yes.
Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Yes.
Senator Harris.
No.
Senator Covina.
Yes.
Senator Miyoshi.
Yes.
Senator Nunez.
Yes.
Senator Olgun.
No.
Senator Perez.
Yes.
Senator Pulliam.
Yes.
Senator Weda.
Yes.
Senator Shirazadi.
Yes.
Senator Toledo Carranza.
Yes.
Senator Tron. Thank you.
Give us one moment while we tally. Okay, so with 12 yeses, 3 nos, and 1 abstention, this motion carries. Okay, we'll now rapidly move to item B, to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Pulliam to take a class from 11:30 to 12:45. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Pulliam to take a class from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Flores. Any discussion? Senator Gavino.
I think we've had enough discussion on the kind of morality of this in the previous item. Therefore, I move to end discussion.
Okay. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Perez. Okay, we will not take a vote. Are there any objections? Okay, we will take this to a vote. All in favor of suspending Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Pulliam to take a class from 11:30 to 12:45, please raise your hand high. All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes. there a motion on the floor to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Harris to take, we removed that from the agenda. We will now take final roll call with Attorney General Martinez.
Vice President Khan.
Here.
Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio.
Here.
Senator Flores.
Here.
Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris.
Here.
Senator Gavina.
Here.
Excuse me. Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Nunez.
Here.
Senator Olgun.
Here.
Senator Perez.
Here.
Senator Pulliam.
Here.
Senator Ueda.
Here.
Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Toledo Carranza.
Here.
And Senator Chan. Thank you.
Thank you. I will adjourn the special meeting at 11:01 a.m. I will now move back to the original agenda. We'll go on to reports. Before I start my report, I just want to say for minute recording purposes, the special meeting agenda for Senator Pulliam had 2 noes and 1 abstention for minute recording purposes. Okay, I'll move on to my report. Now I feel a lot of pressure because I actually had a lot to report on, but I will summarize. So, thank you everyone for coming to the leadership training. At some point we'll send out the training material that was presented. I think Reboot Camp was a success. I rigged the Kahoot. I'm so sorry for winning. But thank you all for being there. I appreciate the time that you put into it. I've been training Attorney General Martinez on the Attorney General position, and if this meeting isn't the best form of training, I don't know what is. I have trained Senator Basilio for her Senate position. Vice President Khan will take over after now. I had the chance to attend SWANACON, so that is Southwestern Asian North African. It's like a conference for the individuals that come from that region or don't. I had the chance to go with our chair of DEI. That was a great time at UC Riverside. Thank you, UC Riverside. I sent you all an email about the Matacard University Committee. Please get back to me. I think I had just a couple responses, but get back to me by the end of this week if you're still interested, and I can send a follow-up with the description if you'd like. Office hours start this week. Standing committees seem like they will be starting in the 3rd week instead of next week, because we will not have time to vote on a chair today. But thank you to everyone that submitted them on time. Office hours will be sent to marketing to be published on the website at some point, so make sure that they are accurate. I have a new email. I think I've told you guys 6 million times, but it's as.president@csun.edu. It's not president@csunas.org anymore. If you have inquiries, please email that first email that I said. But if you ever forget still, my old email forwards to my new email, but just don't forget. We had CSSA this past weekend at San Francisco State University. We approved of multiple policies in Internal Affairs and Finance Committee. I had the chance to go, I underwent implicit bias training during the Student Trustee Committee, because we'll be having a student trustee, and I'm on the committee, whatever. I had the chance to facilitate executive officer evaluations. And a big thing to take away that happened last year was that Sonoma State University had a huge budget cut. So in general, there's been an 8% proposed budget cut across the CSU. So that's for every campus. And last Tuesday, just 2 weeks after tuition was due and students already moved back in, the university had cut 46 university faculty, and an additional number of lecturers will not have their contracts renewed for 2025-2026. More than 20 academic degree programs and more than a dozen minors will be discontinued. And they're also shutting down their NCAA Division II athletics program. So this is a huge devastation to Sonoma State University. This is, just up north in the Bay Area, one of our 23 CSU campuses. So we had the chance to hear from an AS representative from Sonoma State yesterday at the CSSA plenary. And athletes are essentially being forced to transfer. Students are also being forced to transfer or change their majors if they don't have less than 60 units left to graduate. So it's really devastating. They're in a $24 million deficit. And I think it's just been rising in the past couple of years. So, yeah. our cabinet meetings are scheduled from Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30. So if you're trying to reach a cabinet member during that time, I don't know why you would be. Well, maybe you would be. We will be occupied. The applications for the student trustee close today at 5 o'clock. If you or you know anyone that would like or are interested for student trustee, I would hope that you're not just thinking about it now because you need like signatures and essays and stuff. But they're due today at 5 o'clock. If you have more questions, let me know. Dr. Watkins had briefly mentioned the wildfires. My heart goes out to anyone that was affected. I was personally affected. I had been evacuated for 2 weeks because the Eaton Canyon fire started literally right behind my house. My house is good by miracle, but I have like a structure in our backyard that burned down. But that was it. It didn't really spread anywhere else. So seriously, miracle. Thank you to our firefighters and everyone. It's crazy work that they do. I am on the search and screen committee for the Associate Vice President of Enrollment Services. Huge position that we and the whole CSU really needs. So I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm appointed myself to the AI task force as well as some other individuals. Monday, February 17th, put this on your calendar, President's Day. You guys will all be asked to come either 30 minutes to an hour earlier to have breakfast and stuff. And then our past AS presidents and vice presidents will be coming to campus that day. And then this is my last thing, but this is actually important. So this is regarding the search and screen committee for the Associated Students Executive Director. So as some of you may know, last year AS conducted a search for the replacement of former Executive Director Patrick Bailey. This search was not successful in finding a permanent executive director, so our current interim executive director, Tim Shapansky, agreed to serve in this capacity of interim and will continue to serve as such until a permanent executive director fills the position. As of last week, the AS Personnel Board has authorized the initiation of a search and screen process to recruit and recommend the hire of the next executive director. I, as AS President, chair the Search and Screen Committee, which also includes Vice President Khan, 2 AS employee representatives comprising of 1 student staff and 1 regular staff, a faculty/academic representative, a representative from administration and finance, and a representative from the esteemed Dr. Watkins, our Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. We are in the process of identifying individuals who will fill these seats on the committee, and I will be sending out an email to everyone regarding this acquiring of individuals. After recruitment of applicants has concluded, the committee will screen applicants and identify a group of finalists for on-campus interviews. The Senate will receive plenty advance notice of the on-campus interviews, and all senators are expected to participate because this is a very big deal for the organization and for our senators. The Search and Screen Committee will then make a recommendation to the AS Personnel Board. Then the Personnel Board will determine the candidate recommended for appointment, and that recommendation will be considered by the University President, Dr. Erica Beck. Then, with the President's endorsement, the recommended candidate will be advanced to the AS Senate, so that's you all, for approval. So that reminds you how much power you have. I hope that you remember that. And then the goal is to complete these processes no later than our final Senate meeting, which is the first week of May. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me after. And if you don't want to ask me in person or whatever, please email me and CC John Dobler, who's our HR manager. Thank you. That is my report. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Vice President's report with Vice President Khan.
Good morning. I will cut my report short. Just assume that I was going to say a lot of the same things Katie was going to say. I want to first thank everybody who's been involved in Welcome Week. I would, in my humble opinion, say this is the most successful Welcome Week I've seen. We had so much outreach, and the collaboration with the CSUN Navigators was very, very successful. Today is the last day, so if you're signed up to table, can you just stay tuned for updates, keep your phone on you, because I'm trying to reimagine because it's very wet and windy out there, and I don't want anybody to be in an uncomfortable situation. And shortly I'll talk about CSSA and what happened there. As you know, I sit on the System-Wide Affairs Committee as Vice Chair. We had one action item and two discussion items. The first action item was an affordable housing white paper. A white paper is, in essence, just like an official report. It's not a resolution. It doesn't lead to change necessarily. They're a stepping point into more advocacy. I would definitely recommend reading it. You can reach out if you would like to see what kind of we're taking a stance on. And there is legislation that will be attached to this, hopefully for when we go to CHES. And the white paper kind of just goes over how we want to see more affordable housing within the CSU and how to restructure the current system to make it more accessible for students who may not have the privilege of being able to just get housing. We had a discussion item on an affordable access program, or the affordable access programs, CSUN Ready, AKA. So the Associate Vice President and the Executive Director of Student Auxiliary Enterprises at Long Beach and someone else, I don't have their title written out, but they did present. And the presentation was really, really interesting because we've been so involved at CSUN. And I would say they sold it pretty well, to be completely honest. And if I didn't work with the TUC here, I might be like, yay. But I did work with the TUC here. And so I've kind of had the opportunity to see it from different perspectives. And I was able to make a comment to them about our resolution and the stance our board took. And it was actually very, very silly because I read the resolution verbatim and the guy was like, oh, well, you know, you're so well spoken. That's not how the resolution sounded. And I was like, so you didn't read the resolution. Anyways, that was really funny to me. That's why you should always talk to them, even if you sent an email or something, because it was actually hilarious. And then our last discussion item was about the year of engagement. So Deputy Vice Chancellor Perez, Dulcie Perez, you might know her. She presented a status update on the year of engagement. You might have also heard about GI 2025. It's really interconnected and all the information is available publicly. However, I did want to bring this up because they are presenting an update this week at the Board of Trustees meeting, the CSU Board of Trustees meeting, and we have the privilege of being in Northridge, and those meetings are held in Long Beach, which isn't too far. So if you'd like to go, you can ask anyone or Google it, where it is, what time it is, etc. Looking ahead, today is the USU Board of Directors meeting. They do have a new executive director, so this is very exciting. I'm ready to meet her. Please continue to attend the campus committees you are on and report to me. I know a lot of them start this week and next week, so please be diligent about that. Send the reports when necessary. Office hours do start this week. We're using the same exact model as last semester. However, our new Attorney General will be overlooking them. Welcome, Naraya. She'll be taking several of the responsibilities that I'm currently working with you guys with, and the big one is attendance. So if you have an absent or tardy or issues with your office hours, you let her and/or I know. And this week, for like what y'all should be doing, I'm going to give a week to settle in and kind of figure out your footing. And then next week will be Senator check-ins to set ourselves up for success this semester. So look for an email with a sign-up link and look at your email, period, because there's been a lot of communication going out. This semester is off to a very, very fast start. I thought last semester was fast. This one is insane. So please communicate with me on how I can support you if needed, and I am really looking forward to the semester with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator Perez.
Point of personal privilege.
Granted. And then for everyone else giving reports, please keep in mind we really have to get through them like fast because we have to be cleaned up by like around 11:30 to be out of here by 11:30. Chief of Staff Ramos.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'll be very, very quick because everyone else covered what I was going to say. Just to reiterate, cabinet meetings will be held on Wednesdays from 8:30 to 9:30. This was really, really hard to schedule, but we did it. So if you need to find us, we'll be there. Other than that, although this winter break has been very, very hectic, fortunately, the cabinet staff has been working very hard in preparing for the spring semester. And they have already begun tackling important projects such as DEI Week, organizing elections, working on chess, and creating social media content and other stuff. So I'm looking forward to see all their hard work and progress, which will be great. And then during the break, thank you for all of those who attended the AS leadership training. And for those who didn't attend, it's all good, but just letting you know that the ones who did attend volunteered at the YMCA to help organize and sort food donations for those who were affected by the LA fires. So that was really nice. And it was a great time. And so that's all I have to say. Sweet, short, and good luck on your spring semester. Yay.
Any questions? All right, we'll move on to the Chair of Finance report with Chair Ponce.
Hey everyone, good morning. I hope everyone's adjusting well to their classes. I'll start off with the account funds. So under STAR, there is $134,369. In unassigned contingency, there is $670,482. In the philanthropy fund, there is $15,000. And in clubs and orgs travel and clubs and org unassigned, there is $25,000. As for my report, this winter break, we did have annual budget deliberations, which we did complete ahead of schedule. So we only ended up meeting for 4 of the days instead of 5. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. And I just wanted to thank my finance committee members, AS Accounting, the MIC, ASIT, and Hannah for all their hard work during the annual budget process. And considering we did have to move to a virtual setting because of the fires, things ran pretty smoothly. And with the annual budget, we did receive over 140 budgets. And in terms of Code of Finance updates, we did bring forward potential changes to the Code of Finance, and I will be meeting with AS Accounting and Denise to discuss those changes and And aside from that, I am hoping to send the annual budget and the code changes to Katie in the next 2 to 3 weeks because it does need to go to Katie for 10 days and then it does go to the Senate for approval. So I'm going to be working on that. And aside from that, there is 2 supplemental requests on the Finance Committee agenda, and we're going to continue discussion on the annual budget and Code of Finance. But that is pretty much it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Attorney General's report with Attorney General Martinez.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for a lively first meeting. I am Naraya Martinez. I am your new Attorney General. Iman basically covered everything that I wanted to say. I will be in charge of your office hours. Thank you for getting those in. So next meeting, we'll be doing standing committee votings, and then as soon as those are voted on, chair for standing committees, as soon as the chairs are voted on, we'll get a meeting started so we can get that in place as soon as possible. Standing committees will be starting on February 3rd and will be in the USU Executive Boardroom. And just 2 things. Remember that Senate meetings are attended in business casual, and during reports and discussions, please have your laptops turned down. And I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And then to clarify, standing committees will actually now start the week of February 10th. We will be voting on them February 3rd, though. Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll now move on to the interim AS Executive Director's report with Tim Shapansky.
Good morning, everybody. Keep it short as well. Happy 2025 and second week of the semester. Big Show has 300 tickets sold so far. If you like Knott's Berry Farm, we will no longer be selling those due to Six Flags and Cedar Point. They bought it and they don't do college tickets anymore. So that is some sadness. And then the last thing you will see is with our IT the next couple of weeks, we'll probably have a couple of cameras up. We're going to be transitioning to YouTube for our meetings due to Zoom going to be charging us a lot of money. So bear with us as we start making that transition to YouTube. But that's all. Have a wonderful week and we'll see you later.
Thank you. Any questions on Tim's report? Seeing none, we'll move on. We'll move past University Advisor's report to our Faculty Advisor's report with Dr. Veda Ward.
Thank you all so much. I hope you had a great break. I would like to say, at the very least, my heartfelt loss of David Crandall, your former executive director. David was actually the executive director when I first was asked to become faculty advisor, and he will be definitely missed. I also want to encourage you all to have a great academic semester, to really become engaged with your faculty, and with what's going on with Sonoma State and other CSUs, to think about the delivery of your education, how that's going to come about, and also the importance of brick and mortar facilities. So one of the things that we're looking at is not only faculty, staff, and students, but the actual integrity of the buildings that we have as part of the CSU system and what that means. So please stay engaged with your faculty, be looking at new ways that we can deliver and develop education that means something to you. Have a great semester.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll now move on to new business to approve the following appointment for Sheen Gupta for Lobby Corps. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Heminiano Aragon.
I move to approve Sheen Gupta for Lobby Court.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Pulliam. Any discussion? Senator Wada.
I have a question. So for freshmen wanting to be involved in AS, is this their avenue to do so?
Yes, but now we have actually, it used to be, but we have now changed the committee eligibility to be encompassing to all committee members now. So now freshmen can also join other committees. Thank you for that question. Okay, Senator Wada.
So what was the original reason why freshmen were not allowed to be in other committees?
I'm not sure. That was prior to my time, but prior to when I was a senator, I remember that Lobby Corps, this is pre-COVID. I remember Lobby Corps used to have up to 20 members could sit on Lobby Corps. And obviously the other committees probably had like 9 or 10, but they also wouldn't get paid. So the Lobby Corps was larger for that reason of allowing more freshmen to stay on it. But that was in the past when, like, I think the type of lobbying that Lobby Corps would do was very different than maybe what we do now. So 20 people wasn't hard.
Okay. Sorry, I don't want to waste
No worries.
too much time.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move this to a vote. All in favor of approving Sheen Gupta for Lobby Corps, please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstained. Motion passes. Congratulations to Sheen. I think she left the room, but we can clap still. All right, we'll move on to item B, but I would recommend a motion to table item B to next week, seeing as we have no time and I want to be able to get to item C and D. Is there a motion on the floor? Vice President.
I move to table line item B to nominate and approve a chair for the following standing committees: external, internal, and university affairs till next meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Harris. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor of tabling the nomination and approval of a chair for our Senate standing committees to next week, please raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to line item C, the suspension of Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Toledo Carranza to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Toledo Carranza to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Shahzadi. Any discussion? Senator Toledo Carranza.
I would just keep it brief. Same thing with Senator Wada. I didn't have any options to take that class, and that is a prerequisite for a 490 seminar class that I have this upcoming fall semester, which I will be graduating. And yeah, I will be updating myself with the Senate meeting and all of the duties and responsibilities I had to do as a senator, as well as I have come into agreement with my professor from my class that I have from 10 to 11:15 that I can miss some classes on Mondays to be attending Senate meetings.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this will also require 2/3 majority. Let's do a roll call vote again. Go ahead.
Vice President Khan,
Abstained.
Senator Aronson,
Yes.
Senator Basilio,
No.
Senator Flores,
Yes.
Senator Gavino,
Yes.
Senator Geminiano Aragon,
Abstain.
Senator Harris,
Abstain.
Senator Covina,
Yes.
Senator Miyoshi,
Yes.
Senator Nunez,
Yes.
Senator Ogun,
No.
Senator Perez, Senator Pulliam,
Yes.
Senator Wada,
Yes.
Senator Shirazadi,
Yes.
Senator Toledo Carazana,
Yes.
Senator Tran is not here.
Give us one moment. Okay, so the vote is 10 yeses, 3 abstentions, and 2 noes. So since Senator Perez has left the voting body, the 2/3 majority would now go down to 11 instead of 12. And the motion passes. Wait, doesn't pass. Apologies. Senator Gavino.
I move to reconsider the motion, the previous motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Flores. Any discussion? Seeing none, we can take this to a vote. Yeah. We're taking this to a vote, roll call vote.
Vice President Khan,
Abstain.
Senator Aronson,
Yes.
Senator Basilio,
No.
Senator Flores,
Yes.
Senator Gavino,
Yes.
Senator Geminiano Aragon,
Yes.
Senator Harris,
Abstain.
Senator Covina,
Yes.
Senator Miyoshi,
Yes.
Senator Nunez,
Yes.
Senator Ogun,
No.
Senator Perez, Senator Pulliam,
Yes.
Senator Wada,
Yes.
Senator Shirazadi,
Yes.
Senator Toledo Carazana,
Yes.
Senator Chun is not here. Please give us 1 second.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, with 11 yeses, 2 abstentions, 2 noes, we have approved the motion to reconsider. Line item C, is there a motion on the floor? Senator Gavino.
I move to table the suspension of Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Toledo Carranza to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. to next week.
Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Basilio. Give me 1 second. So, given the nature of the suspension, we aren't really able to table it, because the Senate Standing Rules outlines that the position is vacated if they have something going on from 9 to 12 and they have to be suspended. So I'll ask well, we'll have to take that to a vote. But I would recommend you vote no, because I don't think it'll count anyways. All in favor of tabling line item C, please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstain? Wait. Okay, we're gonna revote that. This is a motion to table line item C. So if you vote no, if you vote yes, you want this line item to be tabled to next week, so that means it will appear on the next agenda for next week, which we really can't even do. I'm not trying to influence a vote, but this is not gonna work. So all in favor of tabling the suspension of line item C, please raise your hand. All opposed? High, raise your hands high. All abstain. Thank you. Motion fails. Is there a motion for line item C? Senator Gavino.
I move to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Toledo Carranza to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Aronson. Is there any discussion on the motion? This is now a reconsidered motion. Senator Toledo Carranza.
Yeah, I feel like it's just reiterating from what I've said to acknowledge that it is really hard to find people for science and maths positions, and also engineering and computer senators positions, just because of the classes that we have and the lack of faculty to teach these classes. I have more options. As I said again, I will be missing few classes on Mondays because I came to agreement with the professor that I'll be here when there's more things to be voted on the agenda and be discussed about. So yeah, and I'm committed to still do my duties. And I've been here for the past year and a half. So yeah.
Please give us 1 second. Okay, point of information for everyone. The 2/3 majority is still 12. It's not 11. Senator Gavino.
Point of information, when Senator Perez asked for a point of personal privilege, that means she's not a voting member anymore, correct?
Correct. So I had it mixed up. 2/3 majority is actually of the total membership of the body. It's not the membership present. And that's why, but it is 12. We will now move this to a vote, and then we actually have to go. All in favor of suspending Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Toledo Carranza to take a class from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m., please raise your hand. High, please. All opposed? All abstain? The motion does not pass with 11 yeses, 2 noes, and 2 abstentions. I will now move on to item D fast, then we're adjourning the meeting. Is there a motion on the floor to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Perez to take a class from 11:30 to 12:45? Senator Gavino.
I move to suspend Section 3, Article E of the Senate Standing Rules to allow Senator Perez to take a class from 11:30 a.m. to 12:45 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Flores. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. High. All opposed? All abstain. Motion does not pass. Senator Gavino.
I move to reconsider the motion.
So, since we're actually like past our reservation time in here, I will so we can move to reconsider this to be an agenda item for the next meeting, and we will work with Senator Perez, because this time isn't as large of a conflict. Is there a second to reconsider? Senator Harris, are there any, I will take this to a vote. Are there any objections to reconsider the motion? Okay, seeing none, the motion passes. I will move to final roll call.
Vice President Khan.
Here.
Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio.
Here.
Senator Flores.
Here.
Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris.
Here.
Senator Covinia.
Here.
Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Nunez. Here. Senator Olgan.
Here.
Senator Perez. Senator Pulliam.
Here.
Senator Ueda.
Here.
Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Toledo Carazana.
Here.
And Senator Tron. Thank you.
I will adjourn this meeting at 11:37 a.m.